Welcome to Beardy, Bruce Lee Central.
And by the way, one last thing. You mentioned Bruce Lee. Have you ever met Bruce? Obviously when he was alive.
Yes. Yes.
How do you think he would have done in the UFC?
I really don't know. I mean, you know, I met Bruce through James Coburn, and I met Bruce at his house many times, and, you know, I knew Brandon, too. I first met Brandon when he was a baby boy, you know, probably 6 or 7 years old, something like that. Young boy.
Well, Sensei, on our 3rd anniversary, this is our 3rd anniversary show, a major honor for us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
There he is, the man himself, Sensei Steven Seagal.
Hi everybody, it's Birdie here. What's going on, guys? I just want to explain really quickly why this is a big and fat lie from Steven Seagal. He never actually knew Bruce Lee or never even met him. And the reason is quite simple. He lived in Japan until 1974 when he moved back to California. And Bruce Lee died, of course, in 1973, the year before. So if Steven Seagal traveled from Japan back to California in between, he might have met Bruce Lee. But this leaves another question. Why the hell would Bruce Lee meet and hang out with Steven Seagal? At this time, he was a teenage boy. Before 1973, he was a teenage boy. He was not an actor. He was not a known person whatsoever. He was just a teenage guy that knew karate. So, I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. How does he suddenly know James Coburn? I mean, back in the 70s. Remember, like I said, Steven Seagal at this point is a teenage boy. So why the hell would Bruce Lee and James Coburn hang out with Steven Seagal, this unknown kid from California? So, I mean, it makes no sense. So I just want to clear that up. If you're wondering why he's lying, I don't know. I can't answer that. But obviously, he likes to embellish or lie or make up shit. I don't know what. But he never met Bruce Lee. And no other actor has ever confirmed that Steven Seagal met Bruce Lee. And it's just no photos with Bruce Lee and Steven Seagal ever taken. And it's just a big fat lie. So that's my opinion. You can think what you want to think, but there's really nothing pointing, no evidence pointing that he actually ever met Bruce Lee. It just seems like a bit fat lie.
And working together, and I tried to learn from him, and I think he tried to learn from me, and so being able to work with him that day and fight him was a great pleasure for me.
I was going to say, Dan Inosanto, at one stage, Bruce Lee's #1 student. You also...
and teacher.
And teacher. Friends with James Coburn as well, who was one of Bruce Lee's students. Indeed.
That's how I met Bruce Lee, was through James Coburn.
Tell me, I was going to ask. So you met Bruce Lee. Tell me about your experiences with Bruce, and what was he like, and how did you get on with him?
You know, I wasn't around Bruce much. He... was a kind of guy who kind of would badmouth most, a lot of the other martial artists and martial arts in a kind of a sarcastic way, fun way, which I understood. For some reason, he never had anything bad to say about me, and I was quite interested in Aikido, and he was very nice to me. He knew that I grew up in Asia and that I had a son that was just exactly the same age as Brandon. And when I met Brandon, he had lighter hair and said, "This is my little Caucasian boy," you know. You know, I thought Bruce was a really great guy, really cool guy, and I thought James Coburn was a great guy too. And I'm really sorry they're all gone. And when Brandon was killed like that, they called me a few minutes after it happened. It was in Carolina somewhere. They called me in the middle of the night and they said, "We think that he's dead, but the guy shot a blank gun at him. How could he be dead? He's dying. He's, you know, severely hurt, maybe dead. And I said, you will find a projectile in him. You'll find a bullet in him. And they said, that can't be. You're crazy. And I said, you will find a bullet in him. And they called me in the morning. They said, you're amazing. And I said, why? And they said, there was a bullet in him. And I can go through the whole story on what really happened, which most people don't know. But the long and the short is when Brandon passed like that, I didn't sleep for 3 or 4 days.
Wow.
It just reminded me too much of certain things, and the loss of both of them was terrible for me.
Another great actor, one of my favourites, and I know he's one of your favourites as well, Jackie Chan, man who sent me flowers for my 21st birthday, coincidentally. And by the way, you and I share the same birthday, April 10. You were one of the people, and it's a little known fact, who helped Jackie Chan break into America and introduce him to American audiences. Can you tell me about your relationship with Jackie and how that started?
I mean, I've known Jackie for, Jesus, maybe 40 years.
Wow.
I've known him from way back in the early days. I'm not very close with him anymore. I don't really go to Hong Kong or China much anymore. Him, Sammo Hung, a lot of the old, you know, some of this is really maybe not quite fit for, you know, saying out loud on film, but there's an interesting group of folks that, you know, are kind of some in the shadows and some in the light, and I was friends with all those guys for a long time. Haven't seen Jackie for a long time now, but at one time I thought we were kind of good friends, you know.
In an interview you also said once you'd made many great movies, which you have, and said you'd made many, or some, bad movies. Is there one particular film you look back on and you sort of cringe and go, geez, did I really do that?
Unfortunately, there's many. I think, you know, I was looking at an actor the other day on screen, and I was going, holy shit. Can you say shit on this interview?
You can say whatever you like.
Yeah. I said, holy shit, did this guy actually do this? Not only was the movie that bad, but the acting was that bad. And it's a pretty famous actor. And I just said, hey, man, happens to all of us.
Who's the most legitimate Hollywood tough guy, in your opinion? You accept it, of course.
When you say tough guy, do you mean martial artist or just tough guy?
I mean, Stephen, for real. If he was on the street and there was a situation, you wanted this Hollywood guy by your side because he could defend himself. It's that hard to think of a legit one?
Can you think of one?
Michael Jai White.
Can I laugh in your face?
Really?
Yes.
Thoughts on Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Can I laugh in your face?
Chuck Norris?
I mean, Chuck is in his mid-70s. He's probably 76 years old, okay? 75, 76 years old.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I've heard that he's not, you know. So, I mean, I don't really want to get into, on film anyway, you know, who's a tough guy. Do I think Michael is a tough guy? No. Do I think he's a martial artist? No. Do I think Jean-Claude's a tough guy or martial artist? No.
If you were to put together your own ensemble of action stars, your own version of the Expendables, let's say, who would you choose, 3 or 4 actors to be in there with you?
I think they had many great actors in there, you know, that are great action guys. I think this guy Jason Statham, is that
Jason
right?
Statham?
Statham,
yeah,
is it?
Yeah.
It's not Stratham, it's Statham.
Yep.
Jason Statham is a wonderful action guy. Jet Li, fantastic action guy, who, by the way, is a real martial artist.
Yes, great wushu.
And, you know, I mean, I'd never seen him fight, but I would imagine if you would have mentioned his name over those guys, I would have to say, okay, he's a real martial artist and probably can fight.
Dolph Lundgren, Kyokushin karateka, used to be competitive.
Oh, he's a very nice guy. Do I think he's a tough guy and a great martial artist? He's just a great guy, and, you know, but anyway, so, but I'm trying to think of all the guys that were in there. I didn't get to see it, but, you know, Jet Li and, you know, Jason Statham are great guys. Who else was in it?
Dolph Lundgren, Terry Crews, Randy Couture.
Randy's a real fighter.
Yep.
You know?
Of course, Bruce Willis and Arnie, we know both aren't real fighters, but great actors.
They're great actors.
And Sly Stallone.
You got all those great actors there.
Yeah.
I get asked about Bruce Lee all the time, and I think Bruce Lee was very unique. Like any other human being, he was human. I did get to see him and watch him and talk to him. And I can tell you that his sidekick, his 𝘽𝙧𝙪𝙘, was spectacular.
Yeah.
The best I've ever seen to this day. Much better than me ever was, ever will be, ever could be.
Oh man, this is beyond hilarious. Kentaro Seagal, Steven Seagal's firstborn son, was born in 1975, 2 years after Bruce Lee died. And Steven Seagal himself was a teenager when Bruce Lee died. And he didn't even start acting until the late 80s, okay? Steven Seagal was just a kid at the time. Just a kid living in California, fighting and training karate at this karate dojo. That's it. That's all he was. Just a teenage guy training karate. So why the fuck would the likes of Bruce Lee and James Coburn and Steve McQueen hang out with this kid? Okay, well, this doesn't need any more commentary. You can just see for yourself that this guy is obviously lying out of his but that's nothing new. Steven Seagal is notoriously known for just making up lies and talking. So yeah, we'll leave it at that.